Hi, everybody. We're here today in Kyiv with it's Anastasiya Baydachenko again. So Anastasiya Baydachenko is in Kyiv, Ukraine, in an undisclosed bunker. Anastasiya, welcome to the show again.
Thank you, Louis. All my greeting from my heart from Kyiv to everyone. And I hope I could share new information and hot news from Ukraine today.
Yeah, we get news up to the minute as much as we can. We don't get as much as we could from you, who are you're really there on the ground in Kiev, and to learn more from you. Tell us more about what you were just mentioning about the Russian aggression now at the moment, and what's happening at the moment that you're seeing directly now in Ukraine, in Kiev.
It was about 15 minutes ago. It was reported in city telegram channels that there is 2 explosions in Kyiv, but still there is no official confirmation. I live in the city center, and I haven't heard any explosions. So we are just waiting for official confirmation. Today, Odessa is under air attack. It's the main news and main tragedy of today. Rocket attack city infrastructure in Odessa and a religious cult building. Lately, officials from Odessa report that a rocket destroyed roof of the church, but unfortunately, they have not reported of what exact confession. We just know that it is just religion called building. We know that 13 years old teenager unfortunately was killed during this air attack, and also one teenager, 17 years old, was wounded. Odessa is now an object of air attack. As we know, Russians are memorable date lovers, and today is May 2nd. It is also memorable day for Odessa because in 2014, when Russia started its aggression against Ukraine, Odessa was also under attack, and it was a kind of terrorist act from some diversants bought by Russians, and a lot of people died in a fire. That is why our national security service, they expected some provocation and some attack on exactly in Odessa. I hope that there will be no more victims of this attack founded, and I hope Odessa will have a kind of good night's sleep because Odessa now is a center of attention because we have close to the Ukrainian borders, Republic of Moldova, and also unrecognized Republic of Transnistria. It's Pridnestrovia, as we call it in Ukrainian. And in this unrecognized republic, which was part of Moldova previously, there is also a lot of Russian agents and Russian soldiers. And we understand that it could be also additional provocation in order to attack Odessa and Odessa region, also from this unrecognized republic, Transnistria also. The Russians tried 3 times to destroy a bridge, which is very impossible transport area. And I think that the first or maybe 2 weeks of May will be very hot and dangerous in Odessa and Odessa region. And it is possible that we will have a new hotspot in European map, not only in Ukraine, but in Moldova and unrecognized Republic of Transnistria also.
So there's a lot happening right now in Kiev as well as in Odessa, which is becoming a hot spot. Just going over to Mariupol. Mariupol, there are also quite a lot happening there as well, with people who are being evacuated and also fleeing because of Russian attacks. Could you tell us more about what you've heard, and with your friends, people on the ground in Mariupol as well?
Fortunately, my close friend Tanya, she escaped from Mariupol and with her child, 12 years old, and she was an evidence of all things done with Mariupol. Now, city is completely destroyed. There is no electricity. There is bad supply of water. The only spot on the Mariupol map is plant Azovstal. And today, our responsible services negotiated evacuation and green corridor because in Azovstal, there is not only Battalion Azov, which is various, but also a lot of civilian people, women with kids. And there is a humanitarian catastrophe. They have no water and no food. That is why our officials like Irina Vereshchuk try a lot of days, day by day, to negotiate green corridor in order to evacuate women with children from Azovstal. And they started they have to started evacuation yesterday, but it was postponed till today morning. And as far as I know, the first civilian from Mariupol already went to the safe spot, but not all column, because there are a lot of people, and first of them are already in safety place and receive medicine, receive food, receive water, and also, which is important, psychological support. But not all this column of evacuated people reaches the destination point in Zaporizhia region, and it also could delivery of the rest of people also could be postponed for some hours, as our official reported, which was for me a kind of discovery that people from Azovstal, from Mariupol, civil people, they do not have information, they do not have internet and live in a kind of information blockade. Most of them think that Kyiv is already occupied by Russians. That is why it is extremely important to keep deliver information and deliver news even to the occupied territory, because what is Russian strategy? When they occupied territories, they blocked Ukrainian TV channels. They control using their internet providers. They try to control the internet. That is why people on the occupied territories could not have the full information and could not rely on news they received. An example of people who escaped from Mariupol shows us the importance of current and truthful news delivery. So I hope that the rest of the civilians from Mariupol will be in the safe place as soon as possible and receive all support and water, food, and psychological support and clothes if they need. There are a lot of kids, there are a lot of wounded people also, and I hope they will be in the safest place in the nearest future.
Well, this is just extraordinary, Anastasia. Last time we had talked was just last week before the attacks, and we were discussing moving on and rebuilding Ukraine and what we can look at in terms of new policies and procedures. What has been the shift for you personally, from the time last week just to the bombing with the UN Secretary General coming in, and then this? how are things different now? People are going back, I would assume, who have come by, who have formerly been refugees. Over 5.4 million refugees had left Ukraine. Estimated 7.7 million have been displaced by April 21st. Some of them have been coming home. Are they going back to to other countries again?
As far as I know, there are some people, about 1 million, that came back to Ukraine, mostly from Kyiv region, because now it's a relatively safe place. But we have a kind of second wave of refugee from eastern and southern Ukraine, because our government and local authorities, they ask women, elderly people, children to evacuate. There is a lot of evacuation trains. Authorities organize everything and try to evacuate the most vulnerable and the most sensitive part of population. Women, kids, elderly, handicaps, and other people which could not feel safe and protect themselves. That is why the previous week and this week we will have a second wave of evacuation from eastern and southern Ukraine, because Lugansk, Donetsk region, Kherson region this week also, maybe part of Mykolaiv region. There are a lot of civilians that they could prefer evacuate now, because they understand tragic experience of Kyiv region and small villages and cities nearby Kyiv. That is why I understand this second way. But also we could understand that people from Kyiv region come back and try to restore their houses also. As for me, now it is very difficult to make any forecasts, because any equilibrium is very unstable and highly dependent on war situation on the south and east of Ukraine. But I could also understand people who are who want to come back, who want to live in their houses and not to be refugees in Europe, for example. That is why I can understand it like a kind of difficult, first of all, difficult situation, but it's a kind of new reality for Ukraine. And we should understand that we will act and live maybe in the nearest future and maybe in the nearest next years in terms of instability and in terms of risks, uncertainty, chaos. But from the other hand, it makes us stronger, because actually all modern world is unstable. So this situation could fare us, but also we could see it as challenge that do us stronger, more adaptive. And also we know a lot of things, how to react and how to act. And I think we, as a strong agriculture country, which provide a lot of countries with grain, for example, with sunflower. Our agricultures, they started their all seedings and all this agriculture spring procedures in order to deliver food, to deliver agriculture products to Ukraine, first of all, and to other countries that are dependent on Ukrainian agriculture products. As for me, it's a sign of strength, and I believe that yes, there will be risks. We have a dangerous neighbor. We will help all these risks every time and every day, but we could learn how to live with it and how to do with it.
And that's what you are, Anastasia, as a leader, as a CEO, as a mom. You're brave and you're courageous, staying in Kyiv, knowing the risks, yet knowing that is a place that you can stay strong, and you can also help your company, your country, and to rebuild. I'd like to go into that a little bit. Just in general, whether it's religion or spirituality or whatever it is that guides us during these times. You just look at Pope Francis condemning this in the macabre regression of humanity. And we think about just in general what you've done to stay for your children, and how you've helped them through this, and giving you a deeper understanding of what to do really when we get through the crisis. Could you bring us through that a little bit, where what you see us doing, what you see Ukraine doing during when you do rebuild? Because we talked before about what rebuilding, and there was in fact a bombing after. Yet I know that you have the strength to think about the future and to plan and to strategize. I know that about you, Anastasia. Tell me about you and your planning for what that future may look like.
Oh, planning is a quite difficult management function now, but we try. And the key medicine for planning in this time, is in chaotic time, in a time of crisis, is adaptive planning. So we have maybe we have a kind of draft for middle-term plans, but we understand that all this plan could be a subject of adoption and could change. Normally, we adopt and somehow changes about 30% of our annual plans in normal life, no war. But I think this year maybe half of our plans will be changed and somehow adapted to, under the current circumstances. And also we understand that every day we could receive any other challenge to react as a market, as an industry, as a IBD Ukraine. And that is why we should first of all change our way of thinking from fixed to adaptive. It's the main strategy appeal, and without adaptation and without flexible thinking, I think it will be extremely difficult or even impossible to act in Ukraine and I could say in a modern world, because yes, we have maybe more difficult situation, but all modern world is unpredictable, full of challenges, full of unpredictable situation like COVID pandemic and so on. So first of all, we should move from fixed to flexible and adaptive way of thinking, and understand that there is changing and adopting goals. It's not bad planning. It's just another way of planning. And I'm absolutely sure that we couldn't refuse the function of planning, because management, people management, company management is completely impossible without planning. But definitely modern planning, our time planning is something different comparing to 20, 30 or even 15 years ago, just because our world and innovation become receive more higher speeds, and everything changes more quickly. That is why.
Yeah, and this I love what you said, from fixed to adaptive mindset. And there's growth and there's adaptive, and it's exactly what you're saying. Is the flexibility is important for what you're going through now, and that's what I've really seen as a line, a thread that goes through the leadership that you've shown and others as well. Is this flexibility, this growth mindset that you're able to see what's possible because you're being thrown these incredibly conflict, unconscionable uh, actions each day, and there's fears on all sides that it could be construed as fears. I don't see you as thinking of them as fears. I see you as thinking of them as being adaptive and flexible, and it's really incredible to see that regulation. I'll give you one new thing. Hungary comes out and they said they'd veto EU sanctions on Russian energy. While of course Germany, a little bit more, on the side of Ukraine, they say sanctions won't be lifted until Russia withdraws. So, the question is, has there been some kind of world response where people are now taking sides and Ukraine is kind of needing to keep a little more insular? Are you seeing more of that, where you're having there's a lot who are on your side, yet there are others like Hungary who are vetoing sanctions themselves? So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I read about this. It's a kind of economic. It's like Hungary and some other countries, not only one Hungary, they are highly dependent on Russian resources, gas, oil, I'm not sure, maybe electricity also. That is why Hungary Hungary supports Russia almost in every way, and they put a veto. But as far as I understand, other 25 countries of European Union, they could also support these sanctions, even taking into account Hungary veto. I'm not sure if they create a new procedure, but I read that it is possible to launch this sixth way of sanctions against Russia, just with 25 votes from 26 to 27. So I hope it will help us, because despite that previous 5 waves of sanctions, as it was forecasted, Russia will lose just 8% of GDP. For example, Ukraine, as our Minister of Economics estimates, will lose 35% of our GDP this year, just because of war action and critical infrastructure destruction. So I hope that these 25 countries support new wave of sanctions, and this wave of sanctions will not be the last, because 8% it's not great price. I think we need more sanctions, and we hope for default, because all these economical troubles in Russia, for us, understand that they have less money for rockets, for military ammunition, for new soldiers to attack us. That is why I greet every sanction, and I hope that European Union will adopt their procedures in order to launch these sanctions and more sanctions, despite any veto of Hungary or any other countries.
Absolutely, Anastasia. And we also see that Germany's sanctions won't be lifted until Russia withdraws, and many other countries are continuing sanctions and sending more firepower, artillery, and many other types of reparations. What's important now is also, you and I talked about that, reparations, and also about sort of what happens in International Criminal Court after all of this has been done, and what you've seen really as a result of all of this. Tell us really some of the things that you've seen and heard, not only in your company, but also sort of beyond in your circles in Kyiv, of the things that sort of, that have been done in terms of war crimes. So, Ukraine recently named 10 Russians of war crimes just in Bucha. However, there's Mariupol, there's 3-4 different fronts that are being attacked at this moment. So that's just one region. What else have you heard in terms of these war crimes that are happening at this very moment?
As far as I hear and read from local Telegram channels, the catastrophic situation we have in Mariupol, where almost 20,000 of people were killed. Comparing to Nazi occupation in 1940s, which was during the Second World War, there was killed almost 10,000. It means 2 months of Russian occupation and Russian attacks took from us twice more people than it was during the Second World War in Mariupol. It's dreadful statistics for me, and also Russians teach good lesson in Kyiv region, because in Kyiv region they were completely inaccurate, and they lost a lot of materials, improvements, and everything was well recorded, because not only our criminal experts were here, but also as far as I know, French and criminal experts from UK. It means that everything done or will be done in the highest level. But what Russians do in Mariupol, they tried to hide the exact death rate and the exact number of people killed and murdered and tortured. So they just put the bodies into fire. They use mobile, I hope, crematory. Do you have such words in English, where dead bodies put to fire? It's like crematories.
Yes.
Yes. They use mobile crematories in order to hide the exact number of civil people die. And using crematories, it's actually a big problem, because it makes very difficult bring them to justice, because no body, no evidence. And it's a great problem. But we have a lot of photos from drone, and we could understand where there is places of tombs, and we could understand even the moves of these mobile crematories, but actually the absence of body make a great problem to bring them to justice for this crime, for killing 20,000 people, civil people of Mariupol. And unfortunately, we have not yet any statistics for children killed in Mariupol, because we have now statistics that more than 20 kids in all Ukraine were killed during the war. But at least, because we tell here at least, because we have no understanding what is in Mariupol. We just could estimate that if there is 20,000 of civil population, at least 30% of them are children, unfortunately. And Also, Russians transport civil people from Mariupol and other regions to Russian, and they destroyed their Ukrainian passports and give them Russian passports instead. It also give us additional problem to identify people, to understand the exact number of transported to move to Russia and exact number of people died and killed in Mariupol. And I hope one day we could estimate all these tragic statistics, and all responsible, mostly it is military management and country management, Russian country management, they will be persecuted and will be bring to justice to the tribunal, international tribunal, I hope, and I think they will be in jail. I think this kind of articles for this military crimes. But also some small villages in the Zaporizhia region, they are under attack now, and we have information that there is a similar situation that was nearby Kyiv, in cities like Bucha, like Irpin, but still we have no official confirmation from our officials, from ombudsman or from cabinet of minister. But as far as we understand the style of action of Russian army, I think it is of a high probability that all this information is truth, unfortunately.
You know, we were talking about the International Criminal Court the other day, and the fact that if they are tried in the International Criminal Court, there's a possibility it won't be a fair trial. And it will, in fact, we discussed Nuremberg and the discussion about Nuremberg and how some Nazis were not brought to justice. And we were all then discussed, well, what would happen, and would it be possible for Russian criminals of war to be tried in Ukraine? And what do you think would happen in that event?
I think it is possible, and also I think there is maybe there is in general there is three scenarios. First of all, it's international tribunal, and in case it will be unfair or unsuccessful, also it is possible to bring them to justice in Ukraine. And also there is a third way, which was used by Israeli when it was a kind of unofficial state service that find out and Nazi criminals and kill them. I'm not sure that it is very legal or even legal way to do justice, but we as a country and our people were wounded so much and were killed and tortured. That is why there is a lot of hate in our hearts, and I could not. I could understand if there is somewhere there will be a kind of such a secret service with the task, with the goals to bring we call them Rushists as like Nazis and Russians, so we call them Rushists, to call these Rushist criminals to justice, prosecute them. In the best case they will be not killed, but bring to the justice to Ukraine. It will be legal and it will be a kind of normal situation for modern society. But unfortunately, there is a lot of hate in Ukrainian hearts because we have a lot of tragedies. We have a lot of tortures. We have a lot of sexual crimes. We have a lot of murders of civil peoples. And all these things, unfortunately, just feed the hate.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, just to hear and to know the amount of sex crimes and murders that have occurred is extraordinary, and the feeling of Ukrainians about what has happened, I can imagine would be just unbelievable if somebody did, in fact, they were tried in Ukraine. The anti-Semitic statements made by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, they were condemned by Israel. And what was interesting about these statements was that they were completely untrue. And so we're working with right now is truth. We're on the ground. We have actual statistics, real numbers. This isn't fake news. This is real news that is happening on the ground. And you look at Russia's news, however, the subjectivity of it is extraordinary. It's completely subjective, the thinking. And so what are your thoughts on the subjectivity and things that when they're sort of talking about things that that have no truth or to them in terms of the perception of somebody being anti-Semitic? I mean, there's no higher order thinking in that way, is there? And the way you're speaking about growth mindset and fixed mindset, it's not something that really would be we even known in that location. What is that like to live with such an illogical, irrational neighbor? That was subjective, but I say it anyway. I mean, how could that possibly? Is that what's driving the Ukrainian citizens because of the irrationality, the fact that it I've heard seems like terrorism?
Actually, it's terrorism. For me, what is current situation in Russia is like a Black Mirror series. It's parallel reality, absolutely parallel. They take something which is white and just report it using TV channels that it is black. And there is very old PR technology, but it is completely out of date. And if they will keep using it, they will be Northern Korea. There is no way. It's keep the people without any critical thinking. And yes, these people are object of easy management. It is very easy to manage these people, to create for them external enemy, and to use them as the leader or president wanted. But actually, it's a very dangerous game in modern world, because all the last appearances, for example, of President of Russia have a lot of signs of computing, and it's like they shooting it using the green screen, and there were a lot of mistakes, for example, and it looks for me like they are live in a kind of virtual reality, showing something which is not truth, naming white, black, and so on. And as our President Zelensky said, light overcome the darkness. There is a rule. Maybe it takes a lot of days or even years, but when we live in virtual games, when we every time, day by day, speak not truth, speak something wrong, one day this structure will be destroyed from inside. It's like axiom. There is no another way. One day this system will be destroyed from inside. And For me, it is very difficult to hear any news from Russia just because of they are illogical, they are wrong, they are not not truthful, and it was a very strange statement of Lavrov yesterday, or maybe this morning, about our president, and it shows actually real anti-Semite attitudes in Russian government and in Russian elite, and it is very seems very dangerous for me, because as far as I reported during our first interview in March, they destroyed with rocket Babi Yar. It's a Holocaust memorial in Kyiv, which is a sacral place for not only for Jewish people, but also for Ukrainian. For example, my great grandpa also was killed in Babi Yar because he was a kind of partisan in Kyiv, occupied by Nazis. And it's a sacral place for a lot of people, because there were killed a huge number of civilians, and it is impossible for me to even to think that someone could destroy such places. But as we hear from Lavrov, it's just their policy. It's something in their head, completely unnormal, completely illogical, completely out of date in terms of modern world.
I think that's a more than reasonable to assume the out of date. It's incredible to hear these statements being made, and the duality that we're talking about, the black and white. It's dualistic, and the interesting part of this is, if you looked at all that has happened, Russia just today stole $7 million worth of farm vehicles, and Ukraine soldiers pushed them out from those farm vehicles. You've lost more than 35% of your GDP as a result. This isn't a result of sanctions. This is a result of stealing, killing, and murdering. Bottom line. And it's indisputable that this has happened. We have the stats, we have the figures, we have more than 20,000 dead. We have 35 or so wounded. We have children who have been murdered. We have men who have gone to war. We have a volunteer group. We have front forces. This is truly that you have been attacked and harmed by a secondary force. This is just outrageous. And more people need to see this even now. We cannot forget. So this is what I wanted to also explain here too, is that what's coming up in May, the day when Russians were victorious in World War II. What are you expecting to happen in the next couple of days now from Russians? Is there a brace for more attacks in Kiev? What is the overall thinking for you and your company and also your colleagues?
First of all, we expect attacks on Kherson region, Zaporizhia region, and part of Donetsk region. It's very hard battles with very low success from Russians, because we are strong and we are good in defense, and which is more important, we already have received some of new weapons from United States, from United Kingdom, and some of European countries. It makes us not only stronger in defense, but also give us opportunity to attack distantly, not from a short distance, but distantly, which is of course save our people, our soldiers, and I think it will help us to to change dynamic of battle to more positive and more dynamic to Ukraine. But I understand that they will still air attack Odessa, and they definitely have troubles in unrecognized Republic of Transnistria, and possibly Moldova. It's not very thoughtful from their side, because it's like another second front, and it is understandable that there is not much resources, but it is of a high probability that we'll have another front in Pridnestrovia and Moldova. Also, all cities, all region capitals like Mykolaiv, Kherson, Zaporizhia, it's southern Ukraine, they could be subject of air attacking and air alerts. But as far as I understand, they try to attack Dnipro and Kryvyi Rih, which is birth city of our president. It's also a kind of symbolic Russians prefer. But it is very difficult for them. So they, in my understanding, concentrate all their efforts on Zaporizhia region, Kherson region, and Donetsk region, using air attack to Odessa also.
So there is more to come. And one last thing, to look back at the beginning of the war, February 28th, when we were looking at Zelensky, Putin wanting to come together with Putin and discuss the terms. And it could have been easily done where, actually, I should really ask you this: would it have been possible to create some sort of more peaceful understanding and creation of an alliance between Russia and Ukraine, where there was not war? In fact, there was an understanding where you could be partners in some way. Was that ever possible at any point in time?
Yes, in modern world, it is more profitable to be a partner. It is more profitable to make negotiation, not make war. But you see, we are in different paradigms. For example, it's like we play chess like intellectuals, and they play box because they're strong. And it is impossible for when we are playing chess to win someone who play box. It's almost impossible. That is why any negotiation and any kind of partnership, first of all, any negotiations are possible when we and Russia, Ukraine and Russia, will be in the same paradigm. And it first of all means that that must be completely different government and president from that they have now. So it should be completely different leader in order we start to think that negotiations will be effective. Now it is impossible because we are playing chess and they're playing box. No effective negotiations.
Well, it is unfortunate that this has happened. Not just unfortunate, it's unconscionable, as we've been talking about it before. And I thank you so much for being our correspondent there in Kyiv. You've had some absolutely unbelievable. I know the unfortunate is not really the word, right? Eugenie said it. It said that it is laughable. It's ridiculous what has happened here, and the fact that Russian Public Federation has really turned into this, as you had mentioned, as you had said, more like the North Korean government, where it's a much different PR effort that is being created, and it's just unbelievable. I thank you so much, Anastasiya, for coming here today, for being with us, and I do welcome anybody to comment on this at any time, or to ask questions. I believe we can. We're being simulcast throughout 4 different platforms. So if you do have a comment, please do add that. Let us know where you're even calling in from. You can put that right down here. And we do see Lucrezia, several people on from throughout the world right now. And I wish you peace today and for the many days ahead, and to keep that incredible spirit and courage and bravery that you have, Anastasiya, and hope to also have you on again as our correspondent for live breaking news. Thank you, Anastasiya, for joining us.
Thank you, Louis.